The problem with the premiere was Lisa Vanderpump, which is kind of crazy because Lisa Vanderpump is, in my opinion, the reason that we are here anyways, and not with the old crew. Hello. Why am I so happy? I know why, because I can breathe. You guys, it's a crazy thing to be able to smell again. Can you believe it? 2 weeks post-op. Didn't have a episode last week. Obviously, I was down for the count. And also, it was Thanksgiving. I knew all of y'all were busy, but had my surgery 2 weeks ago, if you're listening, on release day, Thursday, 2 weeks ago today, and feeling so good, feeling blessed. Like I said, I can just smell everything, I was putting moisturizer on the other day, and I was like, you know, like my Aussie doodle that sniffs around at every little piece of paper on the floor. That's what I felt. And I was like, I've been using this moisturizer for 8 months and not knowing that it has a smell to it. It does. I was cooking dinner the other day and I was making egg roll in a bowl, one of David's favorites. Super easy, by the way. And I was like thinking I was messing it up because I could smell it for once. And if you're like, what are you talking about? I had sinus surgery 2 weeks ago. Oh boy, did I have sinus surgery. I was in that puppy for 3 hours in the operating room. The surgery was 3 hours delayed. That was fun. Not really. Oh yeah, you wanna hear you guys? If you listen to Seriously, you already know. I'm not gonna go into too much detail about the surgery and the recovery because, wow, but I did go into a lot of detail on the Seriously show, so if you wanna listen, you can do that. But let me just tell you this, okay? So I had to have a lot of stuff done. It's called a FESS, F-E-S-S, and an internal septoplasty. So they didn't make any external incisions. It was all through the snozzer. I don't know if that's a word, but through the nose, poking holes, draining things, making new holes, making pathways bigger, making my bones straight, all the things. So I come out after the surgery, or they tell me before I go in, they say, you will, when you come out of the operating room, you will have some packing in your nose. You guys know what that is, right? Well, it could be anything like gauze, or mine were like sponges. Like it was probably the width of a little bit thicker than like your index finger, but about that long, about the length of your index finger. They're like, you will have that in your face and we'll pull it out. And I'm like, okay, cool, kinda. At least I'll still be somewhat groggy from the anesthesia. They're like 5 to 10% of people have to go home with the packing in. And they were like, but, so that's 5 to 10 people. That's if there's complications, that's whatever. So I was like, cool, no problem. That's not going to be me. It was me. I was the 5 to 10% that had to go home with the packing in my face and keep it there for 24 hours and then pull it out myself. I was on some heavy duty pain medication, did not help that situation. And let me just tell you right now, the packing isn't in your nose. Oh no. It's not in your nose. It's behind your nose. Okay. So I would say, I don't know. The string was so long. The strings were taped to my face. First of all, coming out of my nose, taped to my face. Then the strings went up all the way to the bridge of my nose, right? Then at the bridge of my nose, that's where the packing started and it went back into my throat. And then I had to pull it out of each nostril by myself. You can imagine how that went. It's so important for you to marry the right person because let me tell you, I would not have made it through that experience without my wonderful baby angel sweetheart of a husband, David Michael. Because wow, I felt bad for him. I felt like I was traumatizing him. He was pulling these things out of my face. I was sobbing. he's like, we got to do it, honey. We got to do it. And, it's a sponge. So he'd pull. It would feel like it was moving, but it actually wasn't. It was just stretching. It was just stretching. Then I'd get spooked. I'd be like, stop. It'd go right back in. So we did that for about an hour. We were packing out of my face. And then, as you can imagine, after it came out, I don't even guys, it's giving me the heebie-jeebies. I'm sorry. I know this is too much. Entirely too much. And we're going to talk about the Vanderpump Rules reboot. Please. I'm trying to keep my listeners around. Anyways, after it came out, a fountain. My nose was a fountain of blood. Okay. I thought that was it. I thought that was the end of the road. I thought I'm going to be the first person ever to pass away from a fess and internal septoplasty. But I'm here, not completely out of the woods yet. As you can probably still hear, I'm swollen. My sinuses are still swollen a little bit. I have to do these nasal rinses. I had to put this ointment, in my nose. It's not great, but it is better. Every single day we're getting a little bit better. I'm going to be able to blow my nose in 4 days, so that's going to be incredible. What else? I pretty much think that's it. Right now, it's just there's scabs in my nose, which isn't necessarily the most comfortable thing. But let me tell you this. I have had one singular cough drop in 13 days. The menthol cough drop industry that I was putting on my back for 3.5 years, I'm sorry, I'm no longer going to be your target audience. Vicks. You mean to tell me in 3.5 years I couldn't get Vicks to sponsor the podcast? So we're living large, baby. We are back. We are back. And smelling moisturizers. It's incredible. It's incredible. Anywho, you guys had to know that the top of the show rant was going to be absolutely absurd today. I mean, hello. You don't get surgery every day. Like I said, if you want to hear more, we went into a lot of detail on the Seriously show. More detail than that, which you're probably like, I don't think I actually want to know more. Let's get into the top 3. Biggest headlines in reality TV and pop culture. This came down today. A shocking Love is Blind divorce. Alexa and Brennon Lemieux, season 3. And this one really caught fans by surprise. So like I said, we met them on season 3 of Love is Blind. They were kind of the opposites attract trope. He was this cowboy. She likes full glam, but they were a very likable couple. They were very popular. They got married on camera July of 2021. So they've been together for about 4 years. They had a daughter last year, July of 2024. Vienna is her name, so she's 1. And they really seemed like a Love is Blind success story. So this week when Alexa announced the breakup on social media, fans were really surprised. And here is what she said in the caption. After much reflection and many heartfelt conversations, we've made the difficult decision to divorce. She says this choice was not made lightly, and it comes with a great deal of care, respect, and appreciation for the time that we have shared. She says, we entered this relationship with love and optimism, and we leave it with gratitude for the experiences that shaped us and the growth we each gained along the way. While our journey as a married couple is coming to an end, we remain supportive of one another, devoted to our daughter, and committed to navigating this transition with compassion. She asked for privacy as they move forward and focus on their individual paths while keeping their precious daughter as their top priority. Very surprising. Even more so surprising because they just celebrated July, celebrated their 4-year anniversary. And this is what she posted in July. It says, happy 4 years to my lobster. Thank you for being my person. I never knew I could love someone the way I love you, and blessed every day. That love made the most perfect daughter. You still give me butterflies and make my heart skip a beat. So grateful for the love, laughter, adventures, and priceless memories we've already made and can't wait to make a million more. So that is very confusing, right? And I understand, social media is not real, right? We all know that. We all know that what's posted on social media is not what's going on behind closed doors. But normally you can get like a sense kind of with these public couples, right? Like, or at least you'll be in a situation like this and you'll go back and look and you'll be like, oh, like all he said was happy anniversary with the heart, not like this glowing review of how in love they are. And then right as I jumped on here, Us Weekly is reporting that Brennan filed for divorce from Alexa in November. This is according to court documents. And it says that their marriage had become insupportable due to conflict of personalities that prevent any reasonable expectation of reconciliation. He also requested to retain any assets he had before getting married. So, I just feel like more and more these Love is Blind couples, it's like finding love on reality TV doesn't work or something, because we're always saying it about The Bachelor. We're always like, oh, that's interesting. Which, did you guys hear about Juliana Pascarosa doing this interview saying that Grant Ellis planned their breakup the day after the finale? If you missed that, that's on the Patreon, patreon.com/Morgan's Pop Talks, Bachelor Tuesday, or the Lila tier. But anyways, um, it's so hard because you see these couples and you're like, oh, they're going to make it. And then they don't. And you're like sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh, Love is Blind is a better love dating show than The Bachelor because they have more time. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, actually, it's not. Actually, it's not. It just forces you to get married at the end of it. It's pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I was going to say traumatizing. I just think it's kind of messed up. Like, it is kind of a messed up premise of a show, but people still go on it. They still do it. And I mean, hey, there are some Love is Blind marriages that are still going strong out there. Meanwhile, you have Mel Owens give his 60-year-old girlfriend a promise ring, just is what it is. Okay, let's talk about the Vanderpump Rules reboot. Let's talk about it. The new shift is here, right? The new shift is here. Now, I saw half the first episode of BravoCon, and when I watched it at BravoCon, I was cautiously optimistic. I was like, okay, there's some stuff here, I think I was like Bravo intoxicated, Bravo drunk that weekend because watching it at home, I had a different experience with the Vanderpump Rules reboot. Okay, I'll get to what I liked about it in a little bit. I just, first of all, everybody that wants the show to succeed is saying, don't compare it to the original. Don't compare it to the original. Don't compare it to the original. We can't. It has the same theme song. It has the same intro sequence. It has the same title. It has the same storylines. All the staff are intertwined. They're drinking on the job, drinking before the job. Lisa having these one-on-one sit-down meetings. Lisa having these big group meetings. I don't know. I actually thought that the problem with the premiere was Lisa Vanderpump, which is kind of crazy because Lisa Vanderpump is, in my opinion, the reason that we are here anyways, and not with the old crew. Now, I think the old crew, they were done anyways. So it's not like, oh, we would be getting a season 13 of Vanderpump Rules with Ariana, Tom, Schwartz. Like, it wasn't going to happen. That show had ended, right? But I've always said I believe that Lisa Vanderpump really wanted to reclaim her namesake show and bring it back to the restaurant. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Is the show about the cast or is it about the premise of the show? I believe that it was about the cast. Lisa Vanderpump obviously believes that it is about the premise of the show, working at SUR. And especially in the one-on-one sit down with Natalie, I felt like Lisa Vanderpump was not, it felt contrived, and in the big group meeting. So she sits down with Natalie after Natalie, apparently got kicked out of SUR or whatever. And she's like, normally I wouldn't stand for this behavior, but I'm going to give you a pass because you've been here for so long. And it's like, no, it's because she's a cast member of this show. If you ever even would fire her, like, you're just saying this to create a dramatic moment. And I just felt like every scene that Lisa was in the premiere of Vanderpump Rules was giving that energy. The only time it didn't feel like that with Lisa was when Natalie was involved, the business partner, right? Where she's sitting there crying over Marcus and Venus taking shots before their shift. And Natalie's crying, saying, we've been through so much. I don't know how we're going to survive this. I actually thought the conversation about COVID affecting nightlife in LA and affecting SUR was one of the most interesting parts of the entire episode because it didn't feel contrived. That is something that is really happening, I guess, in LA. I mean, it's happening everywhere, right? It just feels like a lot of places haven't bounced back. So, thank you, Natalie, for being honest. I don't feel like Natalie is one of those people who's going to fake cry on television, like for Lisa's sake. You know what I mean? There are like interesting characters and stories, Kim and Marcus and their relationship that always seems to be imploding. It's very up and down, it's very up and down. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't entertained watching them argue about Natalie, who is, a cause of chaos, whether she's getting kicked out of SUR because of her ex 54-year-old boyfriend or whatever, or if she's, being too buddy-buddy with Marcus. Like, there are interesting things there, but again, I just don't know if I have it in me to like give these guys my attention. I mean, that sounds terrible, right? But like at the end of the day, reality TV is oversaturated as it is. And it's like, I don't have to watch this Vanderpump Rules reboot just because it's the Vanderpump Rules reboot. Do you get what I'm saying? So I don't know if the good stuff is enough to fill the shoes. And I know you don't want to hear, I know they don't want to hear, we're not trying to fill the shoes. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Or go to a different restaurant, name it something different, because when you have the same title card, when you have the same name, when you have the same intro, all people are going to do is compare it to the original. It's just, it is what it is. I'm sorry. Can I be really super honest with you about the Vanderpump Rules reboot? I know it's too early. It's too early. It's too early. I know that. This is just my knee-jerk reaction. As I was watching the premiere episode, I could not help but to feel too old to be watching. That's what I mean. I was like, have I aged out of the SUR drama? Am I no longer the target demographic? And Vanderpump Rules was my entryway into Bravo. I watched them in college, into my 20s, and now into my 30s, and watching the reboot. I know the goal was to go back to SUR, but I was like, I don't know if I can go back to SUR because I'm almost 33 years old. I kind of feel like this is how Paige DeSorbo felt when she wanted to leave Summer House. Like, are we no longer the target audience? Just as their predecessors spread their wings into their $2 million White House with the black shutters in the valley that were all next to each other. Like, am I too feeling the urge to leave the nest? Anybody else? Or am I just being a hater? I mean, that honestly could be it too. I'll give it a chance. Just give me a little bit of time, okay? Let's move on to headline number 3. Emma Hernan is hinting at leaving Selling Sunset herself. So it was announced a few weeks ago that her ex-BFF, Chriselle Staus, was out, stepping away from the show, and Emma might be following in those footsteps. So Emma was on Lala Kent's podcast this week, and she was asked about her future on the show. And this is what Emma said. I was basically done after season 8, and I came back to tell my side of the story. I'm sure she's referencing what Nicole said about Emma allegedly being interested in a married man. Emma says, I mean, I'm tapped out. She did say that she didn't want to make an official statement, saying, I'll never say never. I don't like when people say they're not going to join the show and then they do. I've heard that so many times where people are like, I'm never coming back, and they're back every season. A lot of people have done and said that. I'm not naming names. I am. She's talking about Chriselle. Like, Chriselle has many times before now, like, alluded to the fact that she wasn't coming back. Emma says, I've actually never said it, but I'm at a point where I'm really happy with my life. I love my family. I've been trying to spend more time with them. I enjoy being home with the family. And I've been on the East Coast a lot this year, which has been really nice for me. I don't personally care really if Emma comes back to Selling Sunset or not. I will be happy to never have to hear about the empanadas ever again, and that's just me being a little bit shady and a little bit of a brat. But what I do know is that if Emma decides not to come back to Selling Sunset now, it's going to continue to paint her relationship in a negative light with this Blake guy because seemingly what Chrishell said about Blake is like happening before our eyes, and it might not be Blake. It might be 100% Emma's decision to leave the show. But, we did hear this conversation between Emma and Chrishell this season where Chrishell's like, Blake doesn't want her to be independent. Blake doesn't want her working. Blake always has an issue when she's doing XYZ. So we see Emma on the boat. She's always on the yacht. She's always posting, seemingly with Blake. So if she's not coming back now, I think it does cast some more like public suspicion on her relationship. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is when you have a relationship play out on television, you know? Sorry, Emma. Let's move on to the deep dive. All things mom talk. You guys, we're going to get to the Fruity Pebbles of it all, but can I just start by saying I can't believe that actually happened? I can't believe that actually happened. I was on my pain medication one day after my surgery when Fruity Pebbles dropped. I didn't know if the codeine was making me hallucinate because I thought, no way would a 33-year-old woman get on Instagram and talk about somebody else peeing in somebody else's mouth. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's the first time I've ever said it out loud. And I immediately regret the decision that I made 30 seconds ago to say it. So we'll get there. And of course, I know by the time you're listening to this, the reunion did drop. Haven't watched it yet. Will watch it. But let's start here. Let's start with Whitney Leavitt, her freestyle with Mark Ballas, and her Broadway announcement. So just before Thanksgiving, Whitney and Mark went on Call Her Daddy talking about their experience on Dancing with the Stars this year. The gist of that interview was that the internet ruins everything, which it does. It does, no question. They did their freestyle to My Way and the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives theme song, and it was incredible. There was absolutely no denying it. I've watched it a million times. It was art. It was cinema. I couldn't really see it, which tells me that Mark Ballas is the culprit of the spinning cameras of doom, that I was talking about, where I feel like on Dancing with Stars, I could never actually see Mark and Whitney dancing because the camera was just like a merry-go-round. And that's how it was in this, freestyle. But it was an artistic piece. It was supposed to be a production. So I'm letting it slide. It's not a part of the competition. Doesn't really matter. They wanted it to look that way. They wanted it to look artistic. But a lot of memorable moments from that freestyle, throwing her up in the air, dropping her to the ground. The lipstick with the mirror, the spit. It was a great production. There's no denying it. And then on the interview, she hinted that she would be going to Broadway in some capacity. She said, one of the dances that I am going to do, or one of the dances that I did on Dancing with the Stars is going to come to life. And everybody's like, okay, she is going to Broadway. She's going to Chicago. She's going to be Roxie Hart because she did Cell Block Tango. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. She announced this week on Monday that she was going to be Roxie Hart for 6 weeks next year, starting February 2nd. Now, I've seen some discourse online about whether or not someone like Whitney Leavitt should be able to have such a coveted role on Broadway, right? There are people saying, shouldn't these types of roles go to people who go to school for this, train their whole lives for this, have this big dream? It's a 6-week thing. So it's not the biggest deal in the world to me. I feel like they're always looking for Roxie Harts. Just because Whitney Leavitt was Roxie Hart for 6 weeks doesn't mean that any other Broadway entertainer is never going to be able to be Roxie Hart. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. When I heard that Whitney Leavitt was going to play Roxie Hart, the first question I had was, can she sing? I mean, we know she can act. We know she can dance. I've never heard her sing. So, of course, I did some internet digging, and I found 2 interviews that tell me what I need to know. You know what I mean? She did one of those running with Kate Max, I think is her name, And that's the girl that, like, runs all over NYC, and she's, like, goes up to people and is like, "How many miles are you running?" Whatever. And sometimes she does it with celebrities or, like, reality TV personalities. Well, Whitney was one of them, and she admitted in that interview that she has always been, like, a theater kid, but singing wasn't her strong suit, and that she would be in the ensemble because she's not that great of a singer. And then she also said it in an E! News interview after the Wicked night on Dancing with the Stars, talking about the idea of going on Broadway. She said, "I would love to. I would have to take some singing lessons before that." And then Mark actually says, "I'll get her in with my coach." He's like, "We can get you covered there. We're going to get you in with Eric Vitro, who he says is his vocal coach, who works with Ariana Grande, who works with everybody." And then Mark says, "Maybe Roxie Hart one day." So they already knew. They already knew. They already knew that Whitney was auditioning. I believe that she already probably was doing vocal lessons with Mark Ballas's vocal coach, and they were working on it. Okay. So the cast reaction to Whitney on Broadway has been pretty much positive. I mean, who do you think wouldn't respond? Just think about it for a second. Right, Jen Affleck. And also, I haven't seen anything from Jessi. And then Taylor Frankie Paul, obviously, but she's filming her season of The Bachelorette, so it's like she doesn't have time. But anyways, stories, comments, like Macy, Michaela, Layla, Demi, they were all like, "Yeah, can't wait to be there." Nothing from Jen. Like I said, they're not on good terms. Whitney talked about that in the Call Her Daddy interview, where she said, "I didn't really understand after the show why Jen was saying that she, like, wasn't gonna be voting for me on Dancing with the Stars, and we'll see it play out on season 4 of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives." And then I also didn't see anything from Jessi, but she might just be too busy ordering Fruity Pebbles candles so she can make these TikToks, which leads us to the moment, the Fruity Pebbles moment. Was this, like, just not the craziest thing that you have ever, as a reality TV fan, have, like, had the displeasure of watching play out on social media? I had to disassociate from all the Marciano drama this season on The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives because I have a short attention span, you know? Like, anytime a storyline stretches past, honestly, like 5 episodes, I can't, I'm done, I'm out, and that's what was happening. But, Marciano did this interview on Juicy Scoop with Heather McDonald, and Demi was all up in the comment section, crashing out, talking about his father who had passed away, completely unhinged. And then, there's this other side conversation that's going on with Lisa Vanderpump saying, "We have all the video footage from Vanderpump Villa," like, pretty much insinuating that nothing happened and that they have proof that nothing happened. And Demi was saying, "Jessie's probably so jealous that Lisa Vanderpump is talking about me in this way." Jessi says her saying something like this is laughable because I genuinely would never be jealous of someone saying these things that Lisa is saying about her, right? Like, that's like your first flag that, to me, was not really thinking things through in this moment, because why would anybody want Lisa Vanderpump to be talking about them, like, in a negative way in front of the entire world, you know? But then Jessi says this, and I actually can't believe I'm gonna read the direct quote, but I'm going to because it's my due diligence. "Grandpa Brett likes to drink her piss like it's dirty soda, and he gulps it down like water, and that's what Fruity Pebbles is." Did we have to use the word gulp? For some reason, that word alone just, like, triggers me into imagine, the dirty soda that Grandpa Brett was gulping down. I mean, it's just the mental image. I mean, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. I was stunned, shocked, gobsmacked over this. Is it embarrassing for Demi? Yes. It's also my opinion that it's embarrassing for Jessi. That's just my personal opinion. Demi gets on her Instagram, sage green background, white text, because it's not that serious. Like, they're talking about Fruity Pebbles. It's not the black background, white text that you get when these celebrities or reality TV stars are in crisis mode. No, they got to lighten it up because it is Fruity Pebbles after all. You got to make it a little colorful. So we got the sage green background with the white text saying, "Something I did one time behind closed doors was consensual between me and my husband won't distract from the serious allegation that I am bringing forth against Marciano of sexual assault. Then both Demi and Brett are posting TikToks about these Fruity Pebbles. Brett is like laying in a sea of Fruity Pebbles. First of all, wasteful. Second of all, all it did was make me dislike them even more. It's like, if that's the level, at first I was like, okay, they're playing into it, they're laughing it off, whatever. If that's a level that you have to go to for relevancy, for content, like, I feel sorry for you. Truly. You're in danger, girl. You have lost touch. Your kids are going to see that one day. Bring back shame. I mean, not like, I don't want her to be like, I just don't like the joking with it afterwards. Like, if it was really that traumatic for you for it to be broadcast to the world, like, don't joke about it afterwards. But anyways, can I just also say one thing that was really ticking me off this season of MomTok, or this season of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and I believe it even more so now. MomTok is not about women empowerment. Can we like put that trope to bed? Because it's not. It's like actually the farthest thing from at this point. What they're doing with MomTok is the farthest thing from women empowerment. So like, stop saying that, please, for the love. All right. Let's lighten things up before I have another back spasm and before my mucus is getting a little thicker. I can feel it. I can feel it. The Dancing with Stars finale. Now, I know this happened 2 weeks ago, but I didn't get the chance to talk to you girlies about it, and I want to talk to you guys about it. Everything from Robert Irwin to Whitney Carson's like text messages about Dylan Efron and everything in between. First and foremost, who were you guys voting for? The greater of two goods. It's like we've never had the greater of two goods between Alex Earl and Robert Irwin. I voted for both of them. I realize that is contradictory. I realize you're not supposed to do that, but I truly couldn't decide. I actually voted for everyone, all 5 of them. But I gave Robert 10, I gave Alex 8, so on and so forth. Hot take, although I voted for Robert to win, I didn't think his freestyle was the best of the night. I thought that Dylan Efron's was actually the best of the night. I felt like it meant the most. I felt like people were talking about it the most afterwards. Alex Earl and Jordan, also amazing. Elaine was also amazing. It's like, it's so hard to judge them because they were all so different. They were all so good. It's like, how do you pick a winner out of this? I feel like Jordan really had like a breakthrough moment in her freestyle. That is exactly what a Dancing with the Stars freestyle is supposed to be. Fun, hype, showcasing you, encompassing who you are as a person, what this dance experience has meant to you. And I actually kind of feel like everybody did that except for Robert. Because with Dylan, it was all about, the growth, his journey of being on Dancing with the Stars. Elaine, it was all about, growing up in the entertainment industry and, the pressure, the societal pressures that come with being a female in your 50s in the entertainment industry. Alex Earl, it was like her Super Bowl halftime show moment because she came into this process a little shy, a little timid. And then, like I said, Jordan just being able to really let loose and have a ball. I feel like Robert Irwin's freestyle looked like any other week's dances, just longer. But it didn't matter because he was so beloved and he was so steady throughout the entire season, and people just love who he is as a person, that I believe that is why he won. Let's talk about these text messages that Whitney Carson and her husband were talking about Dylan Efron. Whitney posted this to her Instagram story for some reason. I think she was trying to highlight something else that they were talking about, but there were text messages above it, and obviously fans saw it. Whitney's husband texts her and says, Zac Efron is here. Whitney texts back and says, I saw they're trying to get votes. And everybody's like, oh, the shade. Do you see Whitney with the shade? And I'm like, yeah, I see Whitney with the shade, but so what? It's like, they're human at the end of the day. Everybody's going to talk a little crap every now and again. It is what it is. It's not wrong either. It's like, he didn't come to the finale. He only came to that semifinal. So it's like, I don't know. Zac Efron wasn't even in Dylan's, like, wishing him good luck at the finale video. I thought it was kind of weird, and I'm like, I don't know if it's one of those things where maybe Zac is like, okay, I want all of the attention to be on Dylan. I don't want any of it on me. Well, we see how that turned out. My only other, like, hot take for this season of Dancing with the Stars is that I feel like people should lay off Carrie Ann. I feel like the Carrie Ann hate train has gone a little too far. It's okay to be, like, frustrated with her every now and again because she gives her critique and then gives a really high score or whatever. That is annoying. But I feel also we should let her judge. We should let the other judges judge without booing, without constantly criticizing, without people in the comments saying she should be fired. Like, she's been on the show for 20 years. Everybody has a different opinion. I mean, that's a point of a judge, is to give a different perspective, is to give a different opinion, and then to judge accordingly. And it's never so crazy where it's like Derek Huff is giving a 10 and Carrie Ann's giving a 5. Like, it's never that big of a deal. It's always like a 1-point difference. So I just feel like the hate that Carrie Ann gets is too much. You're allowed to think that she's annoying sometimes. You're allowed to be frustrated with her sometimes. But, like, let the judges judge, okay? Can that be the motto going into Dancing with the Stars season 35? Let the judges judge. Period. Dot. Over. Okay, I hope you've had a fantastic day. Not one single cough. I did have a back spasm. I do need to blow my nose, but I'm not allowed. So I do need to go, like, do another rinse real quick. But thank you for being patient with me. Thanks for all the T's and P's after the surgery. Thanks for the DMs, the comments, checking in. You guys, it means so much to me. If you want more, Bravo Friday is going to pop off because I don't know if you saw Sierra Miller whacked the whole cast of Southern Charm, and I can't wait to talk about it on Bravo Friday. So if you want more, head to patreon.com/Morgan's Pop Talks. If not, please leave a review, a little 5-star boop boop, a little love you like assist because you know I do. And we'll see you next week. Bye.